Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Monday, June 26th, 2023 public board meeting of the Kingston City Land Bank. My name is Mike Gilliard. I serve as the executive director of the organization. We do ask that members of the public limit their comments to no more than 2 minutes per speaker, if there are any. With that, I turn it over to our board chair, Mr. Daniel.
Thank you, Mike. Hello and welcome. Real quick, we're going to do a really quick roll call as the statement of quorum. I'm Daniel Cantor, board chair of the Kingston City Land Bank.
Project extraordinary board member.
Joanna Dorman, board member.
Awesome job, everyone. We are hoping to have that whole join later in the meeting. Let's see, can we vote to accept the prior meeting minutes as uploaded to YouTube, which unless you've watched them, I'll make a motion. Motion to accept prior meeting minutes as uploaded to YouTube.
Doesn't she have?
If the majority of the quorum votes.
Just,
It's pretty irrefutable because it's.
I think I did look at them.
Oh, really?
I think you did something. Yes, they were excellent. I do accept.
So now somebody second.
Second.
All in favor of accepting the meeting minutes as uploaded to YouTube, that was great. And then we have this still newish to me item, voting to approve the meeting agenda for the meeting we're about to have.
I second. Oh, please tell me this.
You say motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Second.
All in favor of approving tonight's meeting agenda? Motion passes unanimously. Great work, everyone. Few announcements, which you guys mostly know, I think, but we have a board member, Joanna. Welcome, Joanna. We are all excited to work with you and welcome to the mix. It's obviously a small group tonight, so especially because of that, anytime you want to ask a question and jump in, like, truly. Christina has shifted her role. So she remains on the board, but is a non-voting member. She has various things going on personally and has had to sort of take a step back, but doesn't want to disappear from the land bank. So Christina, we miss you. We will see you soon, hopefully. Big exciting news. Owen and crew have obtained CFOs for both 237 East Union and 63 German. That means the renovations are for all intents and purposes complete, and they are legally habitable, and we can sell them, and that's all very exciting. I believe both of our buyers are in contract, and we expect closings in roughly 90 days. So that's our great. This month, I had the very distinct pleasure of firing Mike and rehiring him. So,
What?
and rehiring him was the important part. So at long last, we are making the transition to having employees rather than independent contractors. It doesn't really mean anything in terms of the way we are doing things or anything, but we thank everybody on the staff side for their flexibility. And I think this means we can now accurately call them staffs.
Yep. Finally.
I think it's a big improvement.
And I agree. I can't really articulate why, but I agree wholeheartedly. This past month, we were encouraged by the Preservation League of New York State to submit a nomination for ourselves for the Excellence in Historic Preservation Awards, which they do annually. So Kyle and Mike specifically put a huge amount of effort into getting that application ready and submitted a day early, which thank you, gentlemen, and I wish us the best of luck. We had a landscaping event on Saturday. Thank you for taking care of all of that, Bartek. So we opened up the houses. We had some visitors at 63 German, and we we've done this before for ribbon cutting, but we printed all of these like before pictures of each room. And posted them in those rooms. So now that that's all done, we've gone to the effort, I think we should think about planning some sort of additional event at the houses. They look great and we have them for a few months. In other news, we have 3 RFPs out, 2 have closed. So there was one for the web design, there was one for real estate brokerage services. There is still one open RFP.
Okay. Just put another one. Place.
Great. So there are 2 architect RFPs, one for architectural services and consulting for a new construction site, and one for the upcoming legacy cities around 2 houses. And for the first time in 6 years, Kelly Clarkson has released a new album. Enjoy that. Those are my announcements. Yes. Okay, I think that's it for me. Now we have a public comments period. We have no one. Michael. Do you have a report?
I do, Daniel. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, Joanna, very much. We're very glad you're here. What I typically do is I've kind of whittled down what I report out on because so many other folks, Stacy and Owen and Kyle, are picking up different pieces of it. So I report on, it's very simple in the board package. It's pre-development updates, new funding updates, and then other, just like a catch-all. But if you have questions along the way, please stop me. I don't mean to run through this, and it's just my spiel, of course. So in our pre-development updates, I also try to give a look back from the month before. So last month, we were looking at 18 properties. This month, we're only looking at 8 properties, and that is because we responded to the city's offer under Resolution 66 to offer us properties. We have indicated our interest in taking title to 7 of those properties, pending clean environmental, clean title report, and a survey with no encroachments. We have rejected 10 properties, and this is based on many months iterative sort of hand-wringing process that we all went through. And so we're really happy to be at this point to make that response. And we're working with the city on what the next steps are for this position. So that's that. Just to go into the 7 properties, 2 are single-family homes and 5 are vacant lots. So that's where we sit.
28 Abbey is a multi.
I'm sorry.
28 Abbey is a.
Abbey is currently a 2-family.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, then I will update
Correct.
that. Thank you. Duly noted. Okay, I'll say that again. Thank you, Arta. So we're hoping to have a timeline come into focus soon for when we might be able to get, it's slowly coming into focus.
On the 7th.
Yeah, we're narrowing our pathway. We've also submitted a response last month to an RFP that the city has for another single-family home at 20 Stefan. So we're hoping to hear back from the city on July 10th. So both Abby and Stefan would probably be included in our Legacy Cities 2 project if the timelines. A lot of moving pieces with that. But thank you again, Kyle, for the Stefan response. I think it was great. We put our best foot forward. So we've been doing so many RFP responses. We've been putting out so many documents. We've been responding. I just have a post-it that I check things off of or cross it out, and I get really happy when something comes off the list. City of Kingston new foreclosures is something I generally report on. I do believe that the bill is making its way to the governor in the next 48 hours or so to produce a moratorium on new foreclosures for 12 months. So we'll wait to see what that all looks like. There's a lot of detail. There's a lot of very smart attorneys saying different things about it. I don't want to misspeak, but we're all talking about it. We're a member of the New York Land Bank Association, so we all get on calls and people talk about things and air their grievances, but it's also coming into focus what that looks like. But thankfully, we do have a pipeline of stuff that we're working on. So NCST is the National Community Stabilization Trust, for which in anticipation of maybe this happening, foreclosure moratorium, we signed up for a national group that works with banks who have properties that are in foreclosure or that are about to be in foreclosure. It's mainly with 2 large national organizations. And the idea is that if you work with them, they're a nonprofit. They were formed around 2008 with the whole financial crisis. You then have kind of certain special ability to purchase property before they go to the open market. And so very few properties lately have been coming through in the region, but in Kingston, no properties have come through. So we're still at zero. Just for additional context, if we do get an offer in this crazy sort of structure, we have to respond within 24 hours. So it's like a fast thing. It's not going to look like anything until it looks like something one day. Pre-development, which is where we're basically getting properties ready to close on construction financing and the properties that we own. So we're kind of working our way through that. I kind of look at this as a funnel to get families into homes. So this is a little further down the road. Legacy Cities 2, we actually got, thank you, Kyle, project-specific environmental review approval. It doesn't sound like much, but it's huge. We're the first ones in the state to do it. We can start drawing down on the state's funding. The state awarded us $1.8 million, of which a portion of it we can spend right now. That all took place late last week. And I think we created the road by walking. We brought it up in the Land Bank Association call and people were like kind of flipping out because I don't even think they've gotten to step 1. We're already on like step 4. And so I think it bodes really well for a lot of different reasons, partially because there's still funding that hadn't been awarded under this funding round. And whoever spends it first can possibly get to that funding. And then there'll also be another round of funding behind that for what's called phase 3. They all have these weird bureaucratic names, but that's where we're at with Legacy Cities 2. Thank you, Owen, for moving forward with the electrical service and cleanouts. These were RFPs that we did a while ago, but we had to wait until we got the green light from the state. So those are underway as of right now. And as Daniel mentioned, the architecture RFP was just issued today, so that's up on our website. Please spread the word, find some people who are interested in working with us or continuing to work with us. Third Avenue is in the same bucket in terms of getting that site project-specific environmental review approval. So this is a larger new construction development site that we can now start doing pre-development on. As Daniel mentioned, the architecture and consulting RFP has been out for a while. We did respond to RFIs, requests for information from the architect. And so we have 4 pages worth of really good questions that people sent us with responses. It shows that people are really looking at it and they see it as very different project than what we've done before. So that's heartening. I actually sat down with someone today who's just happened to be in town, had a really good talk, and it's nice to secure people's ideas just to kind of talk about where they're at.
4 pages of questions, is that?
Yes, sir. 21 questions. There's a lot of very specific questions and they're really paying attention. Totally. It's really good. I believe it's due on July 7th. No, I have that wrong. It's due at some point. I've been doing too many of these. And when it's due, is it July 7th? Okay. So we've responded to everyone's questions. Everyone's got a week or 2 to finalize their response, and then we'll be bringing those through committees and to the board and sharing information and sort of just getting a feel for who we want to work with. And this is just the preliminary analysis, so it's not like architectural plans and drawings and things like that. It's really like a site plan, just working with everyone here to set what we're going to do up and weighing the various pros and cons and honestly like the financial implications of different scenarios. But really excited about that. I will also say that we have made an offer on the 3 lots that are for sale on the open market. Oh, hi, Ethel. Hey, how are you?
Hello, hi.
Hi. Ethel, this is Joanna.
Joanna, how are you? Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Sorry I'm late, guys, but the bridge is closing.
Oh,
Just jump.
That's
What's that?
awful.
Oh,
Thank you. You didn't.
It
And you
is.
missed my, yes. I didn't miss your speech, right? I look forward to it. Do it again. It's on YouTube.
In passing, we should.
You always wing it so well. I have these like hand typed up notes from like, reading it verbatim. But so I was just jumping into, I was going through my little speech and talking about pre-development and where we're at, and the update from last month is that we got approval from the state to start spending money on Legacy Cities 2 and 3rd Avenue. You saw that email? Thank you. And so we're off to the races on that. And we have made an offer for the private lots that were contiguous next to the 3rd Avenue site today. So it's fingers crossed. Early feedback is positive from the broker. So,
You make the offer.
sir, it's out there.
24 hours.
I don't know if there's really a technicality. I know there's a convention for responding within 24 hours, but I don't know if that's a rule or a rule of thumb, but I think we will hear back by this time. Yep. So the zoning has moved forward in the city of Kingston. Congrats to the city and all those involved, especially those leading the charge. That's a huge, huge, huge thing and ties into the work that we're doing immensely. We're all looking at one person today. Down Street, we did put out an RFP, as you mentioned, for brokerage services. We've received what I would say is 1.5 responses. So we have one and we're going to have another one. So we'll be bringing those through committees. We can talk about what folks want to do with that project, but at least we have some options, I believe. So, cool. Second to last but not least is new funding updates. So we remain at the same amount, which is $4.2 million that we have potentially an amount that we are going after. This includes the Mid-Hudson Momentum Fund grant, which a minimum award is $2.5 million. We're finding out more about how this money functions. It's helping sort of guide what our application will look like. About a month from now, we will apply. And one of the thresholds is that it must be a mixed use project. So we have some thoughts around that we'd like to talk about with just incorporating some level of non-residential commercial space into the site. Obviously, under the new zoning, it is fairly straightforward to be able to do that. So we're excited with that. I'm excited to work with Kyle on that. We're almost out of the woods with all these applications, at least for now. The ARPA SLFR stimulus funding, which we were awarded $1.1 million by the city of Kingston. We're still going back and forth on comments to get into a grant agreement, but we believe that's somewhat imminent to settle that. And then we will have both our timeline, our parameters, we'll be able to move forward with the project. Right now, it's intended to be flexible enough that it could cross between either of the pipeline projects, but it's really intended to pay for the hard costs on Third Avenue. It's really a question of timelines and how things, there's a lot of moving pieces right now with that, but we're hopeful. Congressional funding, Senator Gillibrand had made a recommendation to Congress that we be considered for $500,000. I believe I will hear back in July. We haven't heard anything on that yet. This would be for Third Avenue. So no updates on that, but I'll keep it on my list. And finally, under new funding, the City of Kingston's ARPA nonprofit grant, the response was intended to be given back to us by the city last week. They extended it to mid-July. They said they got an overwhelming response. So we'll hear back next week or next month.
Is that for the 25?
It's $25,000. Yeah, thank you. So in my other category, I would just like to highlight that despite all the uncertainty that's caused by the Supreme Court ruling and closure moratorium, probably, we still do have an additional $10 million to look forward to under the federal year 2023 New York State budget for land banks. So that's 10 million coming up next year, in addition to probably the 12 million that was not allocated under this LBI2 grant. Sorry, it's acronym soup, but the money that we just got approval to spend, all the land banks still have access to somewhere around $20 more million till the end of next calendar year. As far as I know, maybe more will show up. That's what I know about that. I think it's worth, I think it was interesting on the New York Land Bank Association call that 2 other land banks either have closed or are about to close in the Legacy Cities program. So we can no longer say we're the only organization in the known universe that's ever closed under this. Sorry if those were people's talking points.
We can always say.
There's a year apart, when did we,
September 30th last year. So they, Newburgh is closing today on either 3 or 4 homes. I honestly can't remember which. And Schenectady, make sure I say that right, is 9-unit project. So I have offered to set up a working group with them to maybe share some of our experiences, their experiences, and work on maybe ways of messaging collectively around things that might be challenges that could be easier to work with for the next round, because we are getting ready to close on the next round. So strategy around that. Did want to give 2 shout outs. Huge one to Stacy for helping us transition to employees and be staff members. Thank you so much. I was way over my skis, had no idea, and incredibly helpful.
Thank you.
And finally, as Daniel said, a huge shout out to Owen for certificates of occupancy. We can't put families in homes unless people can live there and on time and on budget. So thank you for that. And that is it.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Did you send the architecture RFP out?
The one that I just posted?
Yeah.
I have not, but I can. You want me to?
I'm just curious.
I'll send it.
Is it written for? Because if you don't know all of the property addresses. How do we do this?
Owen and I talked about this. I think, Owen, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we landed on issuing for 4 and then amending if things come into focus as an addendum. So
Yeah.
that's-
Our approach was to say, hey, here's our RFP for these 4 properties, tell us your price per property and tell us, why you're the right firm for the job. Rather than issuing RFP and saying, we're still working out which houses we want to, have you do design work for. So that's the way we framed it.
And is Gil one of the 4 houses?
Yale is one of the 4 houses, yes.
But we already did it.
Yeah, we have already prepared preliminary plans for Gill, correct?
I see, okay.
So we'll see, maybe we can get a discount, maybe there's something that comes up. I honestly don't think Gill will last, just based on the cost.
That's
That I
right.
found last time we had to drop it out.
So
We don't drop it again.
We have to see what money comes in and what costs. So the LBI2 funding is really important. If we get through the LBI2 funding, maybe we get more. So
and we kind of need 4, so if Abby and stuff are kind of play.
I've actually asked that question and I got a very middle of the road response from the state that said, we just want more closings under this program. So I interpret that to mean 3 could be okay. 4 would be great, 6 would be great.
Would you need 4?
So this program was originally put out as they were clusters of 5 to 10 properties. So in a lot of places that have land banks, but bigger places with much higher foreclosure rates and stuff, they'll have like 5 houses within 1 or 2 blocks, but here, like, that doesn't happen. So the first thing was sort of getting over the cluster and being able to say Kingston is a cluster. And then the second was, can you be flexible about 5 houses and we can make the numbers work, so we did 4 for the first round, and we're anticipating another 4, but this one that was supposed to be in the first round was 69 Gill Street, and renovation costs of fires, and we didn't spend money yet. So all we've done really is produce a set of plans, these cleaning up and stuff, but beyond that, it's just gonna sit there. Hopefully we can get it as part of the second round. If not, so. Gotta get back out there. House. It's
It's a what house?
It's not a house, right?
Right. And is there a specific issue or just many issues?
It's the thing that killed it was basically a structural concern. I can't remember what it does actually. It was like the way that the driveway was paved caused some sort of water infiltration issue and just stomach pressure on the foundation. Anyway, so we run into this sometimes too, where like the engineers, like licenses online, they can't hire everything, so their recommendations, I think, are more above and beyond what like, the building inspector would want us to. On plans. It's tricky.
One last update, we now have 2 RFP responses for the brokerage RFP, just came in. We
I
got
was
it.
like,
Yeah, right.
Maybe this one is it.
Totally.
Okay, cool, thank you. Owen, you wanna take the lead on AGC?
Sure. Yeah, I'll give some brief construction updates. So as mentioned, East Union and German Street are wrapped up or almost wrapped up. We have punch lists going for both houses, but those should be completed in the next week or 2. And so probably going forward, we'll just note on this tracker that those jobs are completed. You all can see my screen if I share it?
Yep.
Okay. So this is something I usually show to the ADUC committee. And like I said, not too much to say about German because it's basically done. German, we sucked the life out of its contingency, dealing with different issues. And Union, we left about 50% of the contingency intact. Both of those projects are done now. Hurley is moving along now. Rogers still hasn't really launched yet, so I can figure out a different way to format this going forward because this makes it look like there's a big delay in the schedule, but that's not really the case. The way this is the original contract, the original construction schedule showed it starting at the beginning of the year, and it's not really launching till now, so it's really just starting. But so no schedule concerns is basically my summary of what's going on. And we're about to dig into Rogers, and which is our largest of the 4 projects, and probably the ones where we'll find the trickiest situations. So we're about to dig into Rogers. And other construction updates, we have relaunched construction at 124 Franklin Street, the final Franklin 3, the last chapter or whatever. So construction is going there again, and going at the right pace, getting things done there. So that's exciting and positive. And then we got these 3 properties that we've taken ownership of from the city and have our lawn maintenance list, and now have, as Mike mentioned, gotten the funding freed up that we can start doing clean outs and get electric service set up. And so that's what we're trying to get going. I think that's my overview. And I know we have a new member, so I forgot to mention that my name's Owen O'Connor, and I'm the construction project manager of the Kingston City Land Bank. Any questions?
Thanks, Owen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My contract was terminated this month, so I will say thank you for the 2.5 years of working together as a consultant, and look forward to working more in the future together.
Us as well. Been a real pleasure.
I had one thing I'd thrown on the agenda, Owen, maybe it's a little premature, but I put the project objectives for Legacy Cities 2.
Okay.
If you wanted to talk through it, I know it's very preliminary, but I wanted to socialize that document.
Yeah, give me 10 seconds, I'll get it pulled up.
There's 4 houses that we're doing as part of the Legacy Cities program. Our first round we called pilot, it's 5 houses, and one of them is still in progress. So we're finishing 2 from the second program and 1 from the first.
Legacy series is the title that you've given to it?
Sorry. The grant program is called Legacy Cities Access Program. So we call it Legacy Cities or LC to New York City.
Yeah, that's
Right.
so this is the second.
So the ones that like just got the certificate of occupancy and that were on the spreadsheet, those are the ones for Legacy Cities 1. And then this is the next round. So we own the top 4 of those houses. But we haven't done anything yet.
And then that properties you were describing before was only part of this? The one like Stefan.
Oh, yeah, so they're at the bottom.
Okay.
It's cut off, but so Stefan and Abby Abby's a 2-family, Stefan's a single family. They are both currently owned by the city of Kingston. We're trying, project's trying very good.
Okay, thank you.
So Stefan was put out, this a whole big conversation, but basically the city's policy now, as of a couple months ago, is that if back taxes on the property are below $30,000, the property can he offered to us to acquire it for $1, and then we paid the house in the back and before we sell it. The fan was just over $30,000. So in that case, the city puts out a request for proposals. And sees what comes in and just the council votes on the position.
Right, there's an evaluation committee that selects a winner, but it's the winner still has to be approved by the council.
So it's basically.
And even the properties that go to land bank automatically still have to be approved by the council.
Does that go through finance to the council?
Yeah, I would think those.
So our fingers are crossed that they let us buy Suzanne. And it's more of a legal.
So Mike was asking to take a look at this, and this is just a way of, as the design committee is about to dig into these projects and the architects are about to dig into these projects. This is just communicating kind of the organizational outcomes for these houses, which, you know, with some of them may feel sort of self-evident, but just saying it's starting as one unit and we want to end it as one unit, or starting as a 2-unit, want to end as one unit, and how many bedrooms, bathrooms we want to end up when we're done, which has implications for the price of the houses and who we sell to. And as Daniel was just saying, we got these 4 houses that are kind of queued up. Gil is uncertain whether it's going to make it through this whole process. And then we have got 2 houses which we'd like to include, but we don't own as of yet. So anything else you want to touch on about that, Mike?
No, I think that's great. I think it's just good to kind of show a working document, kind of where we're at as we get further and further along. I'm really excited about this round. I think we've shown that we can make a Legacy Cities project work, and other land banks have jumped into it as a result. And I really appreciate how organized we are around our planning, which is great.
Great job, everyone. Did you want to go through the Gantt chart in the fact that?
Well, I guess not. It's just in the board package. We don't need to jump into that level of detail. Yeah, you'll see it. It's in your board package. But Kyle did have some financing updates reporting out the Legacy Cities 1 and kind of where we're at with that. So maybe we could jump through that. You zoom in just a little bit, Kyle. Maybe. Yeah, perfect.
I was muted. Hey, okay, this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this basically tracks with what Owen said. Oh, by the way, I'm Kyle, Development Project Manager. Nice to meet you, Joanna. So yeah, this is for that Legacy Cities project, the 4 homes we're currently working on. See here, we've drawn down NOVA funds. We did that a couple months ago, about halfway drawn down on CPC funds. And yeah, balance is going to be changing as we pay down the CPC loan with the proceeds from the Union and German sale. So that'll be changing, and they'll just be down to 2 projects. So once that's completed, I should have some more detail and be able to break this out by property in a way that's a little bit more helpful. But yeah, just tracks with what Owen was saying. We're on time, on schedule, yeah, on budget.
Great. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Can you take the lead on the treasurer's report? Information here.
You want me to? Sure. Yeah.
This is your lead, Michael.
I like to say it.
I know I'm in trouble if I hear Michael.
Michael, is that what your mother said?
My wife, my mother. Anyone who's mad at me.
I'm not mad at you.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I like to say it in real time, like.
Oh,
I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to make this a little larger. Guessing. Yes. So is the balance sheet okay, Stacey, for
Yeah,
KCLB?
let's start with that.
Okay.
Okay, this is the Kingston City Land Bank, which is the parent company, I like to say, because there's another entity, Legacy, so they have separate books. So in this, you can see, let's see. I presented by months, so it kind of helps you to track it from month to month to see what's going on. Not a lot. Between April and May, there was an increase in money due to getting reimbursed from $50,000 from LBI one, Landing Initiative one. We have get a reimbursement of 50 per quarter. Correct?
It's 25.
20.
You're absolutely right. It's 50 per quarter.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So this is from the first quarter we got in May, and then we're applying again for the next quarter soon, and it takes a little while to come in. So that's really the big jump from cash from March to April. The expenses, we have prepaid expenses, we just expense them over the life of the policy. Same thing with legal expenses, we expense that over 12 months. Then we have the 500,000 is the our equity in the Legacy Cities entity. I'm gonna go down a little further. And then now these are all the buildings that we own. The old ones still stay on. I could probably take those off, but I kind of like to see them. Kind of like gives you like a history of
Such a good history.
what it was. So anything that changes, and you can see there's no change from April to May because we had no work being done on the front. And stopping points. You'll see some changes for June. That's really that, and then keep going down. Liabilities, we probably paid a bill between one month and the other, nothing big. Nothing else really changed. And we can go to the profit and loss. Next one. Then I showed by month. You can see in May that grants income from the state is what I just told you about LBI. And then we have a few little donations coming in. And then we had nothing sold in May. And then we just have our regular expenses that are general expenses, operating expenses. See if anything stands out. It's kind of a slow month. It should pick up once we start doing construction. Consultants will maybe staff. We'll have to change that, I guess, for July. We're still consultants in June. And that's really it for this entity. Nothing.
Just out of curiosity, is the utilities just sprinkling?
Yeah. So you can see it's every other month, we get a bill, it's auto pay, central Hudson. Yeah. Maybe else. All right, so here's Legacy Cities, and you can see from April to May, the cash went down because we were spending down the our equity, 500,000. So we had $590 in the account, but that's not the equity anymore. We took money from the parent organization and put it into the the Legacy Cities to avoid bank charges, because if we had a zero balance, we'd be negative. I know,
So crazy.
it's crazy.
And that's a membership loan, so it'll be paid back to the organization when we sell it. So it's not like the land bank is putting more money in, we'll get the money back.
Yeah, it was $500 that we put in. But then we just put another 1,000 in today because they didn't tell us the right information about bank fees in the first. Okay, so then you can see in terms of the property values, you can see Rogers. So Rogers stayed the same, and what Owen just said, we're working on that one. And then you can see German increase, Sutton Hurley, East Union, keep getting to the basis of the property. And then see accounts payable, we paid, what happens usually at the end of the month is that we owe the contractor, so it's the timing between the bill is dated, let's say, May 27th, but we don't pay them until, it takes a few days to run it through our payables. So that's why you'll see the payable on there. Retainage went up a tiny bit. And then you can see our mortgage, CPC mortgage, it keeps going up because we're out of our own equity, so we're borrowing more money from them to on the project. And that's, you can see there the partner's contribution, 500,000, that matches the other financial statement showing our equity in it. And then our profit and loss statement is pretty not significant because when we spend money in this entity, other than like the bank and the interest, everything goes into the cost, the basis of the properties. So you can, except for like, like I guess the utilities would be here, and the utilities is nothing in May because we get our utility, the contractor pays the utilities and then we reimburse. So whenever he sends us bills, that's when we reimburse him. So you can see bank charges are the same every month. That's for the cost of inspection. And then every month, and then the interest just keeps getting higher because we have a higher balance. And then we got a refund from our insurance that we paid last year. So that's why it's a negative. And that's really it for this entity.
Stacy. We have the next item on the agenda is to talk about the budget, but I know Stacy, you have to run, I believe.
I can stay for a
Are you
few
sure?
minutes if you want, yeah.
Okay. I'd love if you're here for it. I knew you had something else.
Yeah, I do. I want to hear what I want to hear.
Do you want to hear my spiel?
I do.
Oh, God, I'm nervous.
Are you? You know.
No
this.
more than usual.
You know this.
All right. 2024 operating budget. This is something that we typically have been passing in August each year. And because we did not have a board meeting in August of this year, and because the Nova Foundation asked us to speed it up this year, so I was not aware that they were putting through an emergency funding for us each year in December. I didn't know that until this year. That was like off calendar for them every single year. So I just learned that this year. That's why they asked us to accelerate it. That's why we accelerated. So this process has gone through the Executive Compensation Committee for review and comment. It's gone through the Finance Committee. It is now in front of you with those approvals in place. Broad picture. Hopefully the color coding helps a little bit. But in essence, we do have increases related to the understanding that when we form new entities, we're starting 2 new projects. So we have 2 new sets of QuickBooks expenses, for example. We have an accountant that now has to review additional special purpose entities and roll those into the audits. Those fees go up. We're kind of scaling it to anticipate what our projects are going to look like next year. But I think the most exciting part of this is seeing how much more we're actually doing. And so year over year, when you get into the development cost section of this, we're going from, on average, there's somewhat of a bit of blending between project level expenses and operating expenses, and we're typically somewhere around $1.5 million per year, but we're going to double that. So it's very exciting that this is where we're at. I believe we're more than capable, and we've shown that we are organized enough to get to that point. But in essence, that is, if I'm sure there's some questions, happy to talk about it, but I think at the bottom is maybe the most important part of it is how do we pay for all of this? And so the grant income that we've secured from the Land Bank Initiative Round 1, the Land Bank Initiative Round 2, the ARPA funding, given some assumptions for what we will be spending next year, that is how much we expect that we will use of those funds. If more funding came in, for example, if that was $10 million, there would be a balancing number up above it. So adding more grant revenue doesn't offset any of the other revenue that we need. We're hoping to have an increased, robust donation campaign. It tends to be at the end of the year that we see a lot of donations, so you don't really see much. And then all of a sudden you see these amazing donations that come at the end of the year from people. Taxes, yeah, exactly, exactly.
No, on the goodness of their heart.
Yeah.
And their accounts and
I mean,
budgets.
it's us, so that it's,
Yeah.
goodness of their.
Totally. So that we're hopeful that we can maybe increase that or. We're hopeful, we're hopeful. We're gonna do more events. If the weather's not like this, we have a new donation, well, we have a donation platform that we continue to work on. So I fixed one bug on that this week that I think makes it work better.
Just a question, the events are just for visibility, or are they fundraising events?
I think both, but we had a fundraising event and Daniel ran into someone that turned into a huge, it was a visibility event that turned into a huge donation, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't, it's sort of something we haven't done a ton of broadly, I think.
No galas.
Still kind of like finding our footing.
Okay.
We'll get there.
We'll get there, and we'll have a new exciting website by then.
Ooh, that's true.
Ease the process.
Yes, yes, yes.
Novo has been issuing grants over the past several years.
They have.
What's the amount?
So it's gone off the top of my head from 1.5 total. This is project level.
Oh, it's in an annual year, or it's over 3 years?
They don't do 3 years with us. They said that they were going to start last year. Peter had said he was going to start looking at 3-year grants. I think because we're so lumpy in terms of like, we don't really know what 3 years from now looks like. And many organizations kind of know their fixed expenses. So that was how it was explained to me. 1.5 down to 1.025, I think, last year. And now we're asking for under $1 million, 852,000. The Nova Foundation's calendar, my understanding of when they find out what they have, which is like an internal process, is in June. So that's why they asked us to like right size with everyone else. So yeah, we're finally in sync with them, and I didn't realize that we were out of sync with them. So this is exciting to be in sync with them. So Novo has reviewed this twice. They haven't been able to give any formal feedback, but they understand it. They have a copy of it. Should the board choose to pass it tonight, they will be receiving a copy of the board approved budget. And so they have everything they need from us going into their funding consideration cycle. The other piece I would mention is the available KCLB cash equity. This is a number that is obviously funded by the cash that we have on hand, but there are some nuances with the financing that go behind that. The ARPA funding is on a reimbursable basis. We don't know until we finalize the grant agreement when we will be able to make requisitions to the city for that. So there's a bit of hesitation around $1.1 million that we may have to fund. It could come in quarterly. We'd ask for monthly. We're not there yet. So the thinking is that the most that we could conservatively say that we will be putting out there, and you don't get it back for 2 years until you finish your development project, is that amount of 250,000. So that's my pitch, Stacy. Thank you. You worked on this so much with me. It's totally worked with me. Stacy and I have been working tirelessly on various iterations of this budget.
Isn't it beautiful this year?
It's very nice.
Thank you.
That's like
I-
beautiful job.
We went back to the old format,
A
couple years prior. easier to see.
Clear.
Quite.
Yeah.
Stacy added the colors and many other things, but if you like the visual, you did.
The colors make it.
Very soothing.
Yeah,
That's what we went
feel
for.
the eye, yeah. All right, so now pass it.
Can you just pull up the camera?
Yeah, sure.
What's the rental lines for?
I think it was the one time that I rented a tent for the 64 Van Buren ribbon cutting. I think that's
But
what,
now that would be a part of the fundraising budget.
This is just showing like the whole universe of different line items, but when it gets condensed, you won't see the. And for example, we saw the website design taking place this calendar year, so that's why next year there's not as robust of a budget as we've had. Which
Because the money.
we're taking the money to fund the website RFPs coming out of the advertising and external communications line.
Got
And so now we've got a website design line, and so now that for next year, that's just an example of thinking. Yeah, you did, that's right.
Because I got to be around. Allergies. Car insurance.
Insurance.
Yeah, just, that's so much.
So much money on insurance.
Yeah. How much do you pay for it?
Stacy's talked me out of the idea that you can just pretend like you don't want to pay it, you don't
No.
pay it. Gotta get it, gotta get the coverage.
I'm ready to scroll down. I'm sorry.
You have the COK litigation retainer contribution.
It's up there.
I don't think you need it, or you're just putting.
This was, when it went to finance, I hadn't had that conversation with the city, thank you for that. And there's a little, some things can shift around a little bit, but that was my best guess, but I went to know it the second time.
Why not? I don't think you need it.
Good to know, good to, thank
It's
you.
good- It's a good contingency
Right.
because
I mean-
there's other things that might shift.
You're probably. Sure.
Like auditing fees.
Yeah, it's true, this could go well.
You have to do a tax return.
So many tax returns.
Well, looks good to me.
I hear a motion.
I will motion, I will motion to pass the 2024 budget. All in favor of passing the 2024 budget? I second. Oh, motion passes.
That was intense, waiting. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, guys, I'm not gonna, congratulations on the budget.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Bye. Sorry. Thank you. It is.
Okay, community engagement and fundraising. Okay, right.
That's Aaron who was preoccupied.
So, I will say, we.
Didn't meet.
What?
Didn't meet.
The committee didn't meet this month.
The community did not meet this month. Like, I actually thought.
Aaron got
Is
mad.
there discussion to be had about social media and community engagement opportunities at this time, other than we continue to try to recruit additional board members? And.
Yeah, we do have one pending application.
Okay.
We need to kind of come for our chat.
Great. Awesome. So there's that. Stay tuned for potential additional events, potentially at our two completed homes. And 2023 fundraising campaign, give us money. It's a committee performing. Right. How about governance? Big stuff.
We interviewed a new board member. We got her confirmed for tonight's meeting. So welcome. I do think we should do like an onboarding session at some point before the next one. So, oh, reach out to you. to schedule that. Did she have the email yet?
I do.
Okay, great.
And the onboarding email, that sort of column,
Yeah, I
I
saw
did
that.
send that over
Yeah.
for everything, and that, I'm sure you have.
We can go through that in our session.
Great. Design, not a ton, we already discussed the preservation week thing. The website RFP went out and ended, and we have, as far as I understand, one qualified response. It is from Katie Dwyer Design, who worked with last year on redesigning our logo, so she's already familiar with the organization. Nate and I primarily worked with her, and she, the whole office received a joy. I would highly recommend that we award the contract to them.
Is there a motion?
Can I ask, in terms of the website,
Bob
it's a redesign, is there like new functionality or is it the same or what?
So, you can check out both the RFP and her proposal. Basically,
Yeah, I mean, there was
first I
like design
understand
stuff, but it was.
yeah, it's like, I think in terms of new functionality, there would be a better like kind of gallery to view projects and properties. A better like donation system to allow for donations without leaving the website and getting some great system.
Yeah, the gallery's a good idea, I mean, that's something that we didn't think of,
Yeah,
and it's important.
it's kind of, it's a good thing, yeah. So I think it'll be, this is like so not my strong suit, like web design. So we have to go, So I think the idea is to vastly improve navigation, consolidate some of the things that, are sort of in different places, but probably in the same place, improve the donation infrastructure, and a better display of content and migrating all of the existing stuff.
I wish I could think of another land bank site that's like really a gold standard for it.
Yeah, we have to go
Of course.
in all that.
And as part of the response, they did put in maintenance in there, is that part of the, RFP or that?
It was, I believe the RFP scope included some level of optional ongoing support for a cost. I think that's why it's in there the way that it is. So website maintenance is optional for that reason.
It will, it'll be on WordPress, so.
I'm scared to update WordPress every time I go on this website because I don't know what it'll break. So I haven't updated it in like 3 years. I just
Not
don't.
really,
So is WordPress what's making the.
Yeah.
Okay.
I go in, I do as little as I
Yeah.
update things and then I get out. Because once I broke it, I broke the front page horribly once and I couldn't fix
Just
it.
put the wrong thing
I
there.
just did the wrong, I didn't know what I was doing. It was early on. I'm sure.
Well, you know what you do.
Seems like you do.
Yeah,
There's one page I just can't update properly. I can't make it
just
look
do
right.
it,
Drives me crazy.
just do it.
Just.
If you really, so it's the policies and procedures. The formatting is wrong because if you open that up in WordPress, it has all these error messages. Because everything to make it display that way is broken. But if you change it, it goes, I can't, I don't know how to fix it.
or is it the dots, is that what you're talking
It might be the dots, it's something about the.
about? Yeah, it does look weird.
It looks weird, but look at it on the back end of the site, it's a hot mess. I just don't touch it.
Well, so I think the need is some stuff.
Please.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is, it's hard to say because we only got one, but this seems super fair, well in line. I think it's actually lower cost than I was expecting for the amount of work. So, where to find that.
Here.
No, you don't have to, I just want to see the cost.
Uh,
And
the cost is oddly low.
It seems very, I think they,
Is it just specifically like working?
I think so, they're a local firm. They-
That's great.
Like,
Okay, no, I don't.
I know, it's very low.
Right,
That's great.
like I would not have been surprised to see something 3 times. So
Sure.
I it's hard. No.
What happened?
I have to publish this within 2 weeks. But we'll sign the contract sooner, than 2 weeks, if you approve it.
They know what their work is worth and they know what they're charging.
Of course.
So. Is there a motion to award the contract for our website redesign to Katie Dwyer Design?
Motion to award the contract, Katie, Wire Design.
Oh gosh, well, sorry. Anything is very discussion. All in favor of awarding the contract for our web redesign to Katie Dwyer Design? Motion passes unanimously. Doing great.
Is it,
Oh, thank you.
I didn't wait a second, I never said it.
Well,
Five years I'm picking up a great way.
Are you?
I don't know. I do sometimes. It's hard. One time they gave me a buck of the Roberts.
And you know, you used to be able to vote, but you
I've never been able to
never
vote.
been able to.
No,
Okay.
I'm just a guy in the room, hanging out. No.
Excuse me, I'm you too.
Okay, yeah.
You're looking at me like, who's
That's
this?
why I said, are you good at that?
It's doing great. I have no updates on merge. I think needs kind of sort of. That's it for me.
Well, you left off your amazing New York Preservation League presentation, which is,
Oh,
I think it's worth highlighting.
Go through.
it's pretty solid. It's amazing.
I don't know, everyone turn your Torah to, I don't know where even, it's in the board.
It's in the book. I
It's
just
in the
wanted-
package.
Yeah, it just
It
was,
is.
for me, it was just a really nice thing that I think is we're gonna get a lot of
But it's
mileage
in
on.
here. It's in here.
Pretty nice. So some of that will turn into content on our website, I'm sure.
Yes.
So, 60 some odd before and after is wonderful. Ready to go.
So where's your phone?
Well, don't worry, it's all out. It's out there forever. Public comments, still none. Now, we are entering executive session for the purposes of discussing employment contracts. Is that correct?
See you, Kyle.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks very much.
See ya.
Yeah, getting the whole, exciting things that can happen. Executive session is when the members of the public are removed. Staff members are also removed unless the board wants them to stay. And it's private conversation that is kind of only possible in very specific circumstances. People have employment compensation, so this is an allowable use of executive session. However, I need a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
All in favor of going into executive session? Welcome back, everyone. That was nice. I will entertain a motion to empower our executive director, Mike Gilliard, to negotiate 2024 employment contracts at a budget not to exceed the personnel budget line of the budget we just passed. Okay,
Second,
all in favor of that?
discussion.
Oh, discussion. No. Okay, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations to all of us.
Thank you.
I'm gonna stay.
Depends on the- Why do you become such a nervous guy? Keeps me on the
Nice, Gary. Okay. Any new business? My only one really is Joanna. Think about what committees you would like to sit on. If you're interested, you could just like invite all of them if you want to sit on a meeting. If you know there's something you want, sign you right now.
I don't know, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, most people are at least one.
If there are some committees closed in number, like,
No, not anymore, no. So, I would say finance and audit, if you have any interest in money stuff, is always just a challenging one to fill, I would say. Governance is an easy committee to be on for the most part, because it's usually meets like once a quarter. Or what else is on governance?
now that you said that, it's gonna sound like I'm just slacking off if I say government.
It's an important,
Even though that was my
it's an
initial.
important committee, but I would say if you're gonna do governance, maybe pick another one.
Oh, I understand, okay.
It's a small.
Yeah.
Um, And just, I'm doing great, I love people. We have a lot of shifting around this year. Yeah, so,
Okay.
but they're all have a very good time. Any other?
By the way, I think according to this website that we have, Ethel is on governance with Christina, and you are not on governance. Should we ever hold a governance committee meeting? That would be helpful to know who's on the committee. That's what it says on the website.
That's what I was
I
looking
think I-
at this.
Yeah,
Are you on it? Okay.
I used to know this stuff. So many things. Wow.
gotta.
So, yeah, if you go to the website, you can see.
Okay.
Anything else? All right. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Motion to adjourn. Is that what I have to say? You have to say?
We have a second. Oh. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.